It is a good move, having that man at third man, cutting off the boundary. The majority of catches on a wicket such as this generally go to the first or second slip area.
Well, that's always a chance when the wicketkeeper is standing up to the stumps. The bowler, in particular the bowler of Botham's pace, fires one down leg side. Very difficult for the keeper to get over very quickly. Now, he did get over quickly, but not quickly enough.
This is bounced also. And he's had no chance, really, with the pace of the ball off the wicket.
You've got to admire his courage. Anderson. It's been a long time since we've seen a wicketkeeper standing up over the stumps in the opening overs with the new ball of a Shield innings.
Because you also can't rate Botham as being a medium pace bowler, can you? Because he can bowl quite sharply at times.
Well, the end of the over. Western Australia now none for 8. Our cameraman John Tonetti and Carl Meath. Just getting back to that business of Anderson standing up over the stumps to Botham. Bruce suggested that he wasn't a medium pacer, which is quite right. Now, there's no way knowing Botham is going to bowl a bouncer with the keeper standing up over the stumps, because it's just too damn dangerous for the keeper. So it takes away one of his potential weapons. Also, it's going to be very difficult for Anderson to take a catch standing up over the wickets, unless it doesn't deviate at all. I remember reading a book written by a great Australian keeper, Wally Grout. The book, if my memory serves me correctly, was called My Country's Keeper. And Wally Grout, in a chapter on wicketkeeping, suggested that even to a bowler of the pace of Ken Mackay, old Slasher Mackay, the late Slasher Mackay, who was a lot slower than Botham, there was no real percentage in standing up over the stumps. He suggested that you're going to get far more catches standing back than you are going to get stumpings standing up. So therefore you play the percentages. Now, the late Wally Grout was also a gambler, so no doubt he was playing the percentages by standing back. I don't think Anderson is playing the percentages at the moment.
It's a break of fast bowler's heart. This just beautifully angled in. And look at that, straight in the buckets and straight out again. It was like he saw it too early. It looked too easy. And when that happened, sees his hands were out in front. He grabbed at the ball rather than letting the ball come into the hands.
Mark McPhee, very, very tentative at the moment. As well he might be, I guess. Rackerman's a pretty fearsome type bowler. I've just got the feeling that he's got to break the shackles, McPhee, and play his natural game. If he gets one there to hit, he's got to hit it with all his might. Just a very, very tentative Mark McPhee at the moment. Well, the end of yet another eventful over, a maiden. Western Australia, no wicket for 8. And Botham continues. He's deep in thought, the big man here. Now, he's working on something. I'm not quite sure what it is. I've got the feeling that he wants to get Moody on the back foot. He wants to get the one to run along the ground. Which makes it a bit difficult for Botham, because the keeper is standing up. He can't fire in a couple of bounces. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if he doesn't have a word to Anderson if they don't get a wicket this over, and gets Anderson to stand back, because he'll be thinking of 3 or 4 plans in his mind, Botham. Well, that was a good delivery. Not cleanly taken by Anderson.
It's a similar delivery that bowled Tom Moody in the first innings. It's pitched, it's leg cut, but look at the trouble Anderson's having there in taking the ball. I don't think it'll be too long before we see him standing back.
It's well run. It brings Mark McPhee back on strike, and he's very, very lucky to be there. In that last over from Carl Rackerman, a very defensive, wary Mark McPhee prodded and got the outside edge, and a very simple catch dropped by Greg Ritchie at first slip. It's well taken, but he seems to take a long time to get those bails off, because he's standing just that little bit too far back. Has to really stretch and reach. Just gets them. Big Carl just getting down to that one. Over. The end of the over, WA none for 9.
Normally pretty safe in the slips, especially Ian Botham. It's a fair combination. Not much luck for them this morning so far.
Well, that's high in the air, down to fine leg for 6. Now, that wasn't a good shot. I know that sounds crazy, because it's gone for 6, the maximum, but that has just hit a top edge and flown over the top of the fine leg's head. Very uncontrolled shot.
It gives you some idea of the pace of Carl Rackerman. An edge for 6. And very fortunate here for Mark McPhee. You see, I think this will probably go just about... No, he's just got inside it. The top edge pretty close to his helmet.
Well, yet another eventful over. Western Australia now no wicket for 16. Anderson continues to stand up, and Botham continues to bowl. And nothing has gone right for the Queenslanders this morning. He's been dropped by Ritchie at first slip. Moody managed to fend one off that just lobbed over the top of both first and second slip. And then McPhee, a regulation top edge for 6. That's well played. Young Law doing the fielding. He's off to Adelaide later on today. He's been chosen in the under-19 development squad, and will go through an intensive training course at the Australian Institute of Sport at the Adelaide Oval. And that stayed down, and
got a funny feeling that he actually drops this ball. It's pretty hard to tell from there, but that's going to be very, very difficult to keep standing up on this wicket. That one's kept low. One before down the leg side, went through about shoulder high.
And there's more. They can't afford this. They've got a third man down there saving one. They've got a fine leg down there saving one. You can't have a long stop. So he's cost the team 8 runs by being up there. Now, he hasn't looked like getting a stumping. So, I mean, someone's got to tell him he's got to go back. Botham's just too quick when he fires one down leg side. He got a glove on that, but it still went through for 4. Well struck, but straight to Rackerman. Now what they've done to try and compensate, which is wrong, I believe, they've got the fine leg very, very fine. So he's there not for the leg glance, I'd suggest, but for the one the keeper misses. That's ridiculous. Now they could get two here because he's so fine, but fortunately for them they didn't. So at the end of the over, 8 of those buys, none for 24. So 1/3 of the Western Australian total has come in buys. You wouldn't mind that if you're chasing 180 or 190 and at 60 odd buys. I reckon that'd be all right. Well run.
Rod, the only time I've ever seen a keeper stand up to a medium pacer is when he's a sort of a slow medium pacer, maybe the Ian Brayshaw type bowler, who bowls the big outswingers and the loopy in-swingers for the stumping down leg side. But I feel Botham bowls too fast for a keeper to be standing up.
Well, McPhee managed to just get a bit of bat or glove on that one and got away for one, but he might have done better by missing that. Might have gone for 4 buys. So he's probably going to prove us all wrong here in a minute and take a brilliant leg side stumping. Well, look for 2 here, which they may not have got had the fine leg been in the correct position.
I feel that the keeper is in more danger out there than the batsman at the moment. And if I was the keeper, the batsmen are wearing helmets. I reckon I'd get one as well, with a good face grid as well.
It's well run by Mark McPhee, calling Tom Moody through. He curve bowls the spinners. He is a bowler light. Taslar is off the field. Change in field placing here. Glenn Trimble, who was situated just behind square leg, has come into a short forward square leg. Now, whether or not Botham is going to try and drop one in short, I don't know, but quite often that's how we see dismissals in that position. But I think he'd be loath to drop one in short with the keeper standing up over the stumps. So that position is often called bat pad, and perhaps that's what he's trying for. A little nick off the bat onto the pad and the ball popping up.
Lots of different theories could come into this. The fact that there's no one from wide mid-on right round to fine leg. There's lots of runs out there. And maybe it's just that he's going to try and encourage Tom Moody to play slightly across the line to pick up some runs around that mid-wicket square leg area. Play across the line on this wicket and you're in trouble. See that big gap out there? No one covering. He's just got to push it there, and he's really got 3 runs. If he times it well enough, doesn't have to try to hit it for 4.
Well, that's one they wouldn't have got had the bat pad not been in there. Nasty blow on the fingers there for Moody.
have a look at where this one pitches. Really took off.
I can tell you one guy that won't be all that keen batting there today, and that's Graham Wood, with the odd one bouncing a little bit. He's got a smashed left index and index finger. Both of them also hit him on the right thumb. And I saw him yesterday morning, and honestly, he looked like he'd been punching a brick wall. Back cut down to third man just for the single. So 2 runs off the over. Western Australia none for 30. Well, Tom Moody also had his fair share of fortune. Yet again, the bowler was Rackerman. Just have a look how lucky this was.
Well, the Queensland slip fielder's almost getting there. Ritchie was the diver. Just short. So lucky break for both the WA opening batsmen.
Well, you've got to suffer a bit of pain if you want to stand up over the stumps to a fast bowler.
Well, I just cannot see the point of this. I mean, there's been 8 byes go through. If there's a wide snick, I can't see Anderson picking it up. He's putting his hands and body at risk. He's in trouble, and really, it's crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, the other thing that we've got to consider here is that if Anderson can't keep, who is going to keep? Now, had he been standing back, there's no way knowing that that one would have damaged his hand. I don't believe he's likely to get a stumping.
Well, I can't understand why common sense can't prevail out there. It's time Robbie Kerr stepped in and said, hey, Peter Anderson, get back where you should be. Your chances of getting a stumping are minimal. So what if Tom Moody bats out of his crease? That may negate the LBW, but there's plenty of other ways to get him out. And it is ludicrous.
And Carl Rackerman's minder, Queensland physio, running out onto the field. So he's in trouble, Anderson. And this is how it happened.
Just an average delivery from Botham, but because Anderson's up, a hard one to take, and there's the agony. Well, we've been saying all morning what a ridiculous decision it's been to have Anderson up on the stumps. I don't know whether it's his, Kerr's or Botham's, but surely this will push him back. In fact, it's amazed me that Queensland have had to have a bat pad and seem to want to get Western Australia out by such unusual means when, with the wicket playing the odd trick, surely there's enough scope to dismiss the side in the normal sort of ways. They're caught in the slips, caught behind, LBW bowled, and for some reason they're making life very difficult for themselves, and that's hurting Anderson. So he's getting some strapping on it. The last thing that they would want would be to see Anderson off the field. Tazalar's already off.
The other point there, Mick, once you get a bad bruise or even a chip or a broken bone in your hand, it takes a long time to heal. And Queensland have 3 more Shield games plus the final after this. It would be a tragedy if they were to lose a player caliber of Peter Anderson. And just getting that inner glove on there hurts like mad. He's in real trouble. Now, it would be a very courageous performance if he continues. He's taken his other glove off. He's taking now his protector off. He's thinking long and hard about this.
Well, he does look like he's in all sorts of strife.
pads are coming off. And what we're going to see here is another wicketkeeper, and it's going to be Glenn Trimble. I bet he doesn't stand up to Botham. We'll come back shortly when play resumes here at the WACA. Originated in England, of course, and was played by gentlemen, and gentlemanly act by Graham Wood, allowing Brett Moulder out there to field.
And Botham a half-hearted appeal here, but going down leg side.
Well, we saw last year a couple of Tasmanians injured, and in fact their manager Graham Mansfield finished up fielding. Let it go, Brett. No, you didn't.
Well, I've always thought about this situation, and if it had ever happened to me, and Rod, even if you'd been captain of Western Australia and asked me to do it, I think I would have said no, because it's a principle I disagree with so strongly. Just can't understand how it's happening in a game of this nature.
Well, there's the first real rubber of the Western Australian innings.
There'll be two, at least, perhaps three. So 3 more runs to McPhee. Don't know whether Botham needs to drop the ball short. Perhaps he's hoping for one that, similar to the delivery that Carl Rackerman dismissed Tom Moody upon. It was the one that almost ran along the ground. Brayshaw comes to take face. Brayshaw was dismissed, caught behind in the first innings, and this is how it happened.
Yeah, the Rackerman ball that in slants and then just straightens.
Very watchful. That's good batting by Brayshaw.
Just having spoken to Darryl Foster a few moments ago, I said the opening batsmen, Darryl, are doing a pretty good job out there. He said, yeah, fantastic job. He said they've been instructed to get forward as much as they possibly can and play straight.
Just like that.
And a great knowledge of the game, Darryl Foster. I enjoyed my time playing for Western Australia when he was coach. Wonderful chap to have around.
I'd say he has no peer in Australian cricket. He's been at the helm for a long time in Western Australia. Had a lot of success.
The only criticism I had of Darryl Foster was the fact that he tried to make me do press-ups for a start when he first took over the squad. And I'd never done them in my life. I'll tell you what, I haven't done any since either. As a spinner, I didn't want to build up any body muscle. That's why you can see ligaments and nothing else.
End of the over. Western Australia 1 for 44. For Queensland, Robbie Kerr pinning his faith in Carl Rackerman and Ian Botham. And now he has decided he's going to have 2 players around the bat for Jamie Brayshaw. Putting as much pressure on Brayshaw as he possibly can. But only 1 slip. Well, I don't know how wise that is. Man at sealing it off and sealing it on. But if Brayshaw snicks it, there's only that one man to pull in a catch. 1 in the gully, 1 in first slip.
Now, James Brayshaw has faced 10 deliveries already this innings. And even though he hasn't scored, he looks pretty good. He's playing very late, getting the front foot forward and playing very straight.
That's, oh, well, I thought he'd had to have snicked that. The way that took off, that's unbelievable. He didn't get a touch on that.
I was hoping I wouldn't put the mockers on him here, because it doesn't matter how well you play to a delivery like that. That's hit that crack just short of a length and gone sideways at right angles. So it doesn't matter if you're the best batsman in the world. That is unplayable. And very rarely gets a wicket, mind you.
A whole lot of appeals there, but one was for LB, one was for court. Neither of them successful.
This one has just kept coming on with the arm. Sort of a half-hearted appeal there. His bat and his gloves were nowhere near the ball.
Well, perhaps it's starting to happen. The wicket is starting to break up. And that delivery from Botham to Brayshaw, if you could bottle that one, well, maybe you wouldn't get too many wickets, as you said, Bruce. It'd take Don Bradman to snick that one. But it does create a lot of uncertainty in the batsman's mind. And Brayshaw will be fairly tentative, not knowing exactly what's going to happen from here on. Single, pleased to get off strike. But unfortunately, that's the end of the over for Brayshaw, and WA 1 for 45.